So I have a video that I ran across. Actually, I've seen this video a while back, and I intended to do a video and a review on it, but I never really got around to it until this very moment. So I'm about to let this video play. But before that, you guys, I want to give y'all a little bit of insight on my purpose of doing this video. So if you do not know already, these counterfeit humanoids are mixed in with us genuine human beings, us genuine children of the Most High. And during the time of the harvest, which is now, you guys, it is very blatant and obvious of who these imposters are. So during this interview, this guy is interviewing a sociopath, right? And which is nothing but a demon. You guys, it's nothing but a tare. It's nothing but a tare. And he's interviewing him, and basically why this video is of such importance is because this tare is giving you insight of how these humanoids think, right? How they are wired. Now, all of their emotions are acted, right? I told you guys these things, these tares, they have no empathy or remorse, okay? And they feel contempt towards us real human beings, towards us real children of the Most High. And that's one of the main ways to distinguish a real person from a counterfeit. So basically, this tare is telling you how they have simulated emotions, meaning acted emotions, meaning pretending emotions. It's all fake. It's all a facade. They have no real empathy, and it's because they are not wired to. They were not sown by the master sower, by the Most High, but instead they were sown by the enemy, which is the devil, Lucifer, right? And therefore, their alignment, their mindset is with the draconians and other species. It's not with mankind. And that's just the bottom line. So, for us true children of the Most High, we know that empathy is naturally woven deep into the fabric of our being, right? We don't have to fake emotions, or we don't have to mimic or copy another person's emotions in order to give off the illusion that we feel something. We actually have the ability to feel real emotions. We have the ability to put ourselves in other people's shoes. We have natural traits of humility, meekness, patience, compassion, sympathy, kindness, and love. Our characteristics and our personality traits speak for us. It shows who we are sown by, which is by the master sower, which is the Most High. So vice versa for these tares, for these counterfeit humanoids, you guys, their demonic traits and their draconian mindset, state of mind, it reveals who they belong to, right? So they have traits and characteristics and personalities of things like being self-centered. They're very arrogant. They lack empathy, right? They're pathological liars. They are manipulators. They're envious. They're demanding. They're patronizing. They have a feeling of emptiness. They're very passive aggressive, so on and so forth. All dark and demonic traits of Satan. So that's basically what's going on in this interview, you guys. And it is so very important because we are living amongst these counterfeits. We really are. We dwell amongst them. We interact with them on a daily basis. They could be your mother, they could be your father, they could be your sister, your brother, your cousin, your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend. They could be someone who you thought you were best friends with for years. You know, they could be your teacher, they're your pastors, your preachers, your deacons. They work up the street from you. They ring up your groceries. You have these counterfeit beings in all walks of life. Literally, you guys. And it's most definitely harvest time. So it's easy to see that something is very wrong with these people. Right? Their love is very pathological. So let me give you an example. If you have someone in your life that lacks empathy or emotional maturity, you will realize that their love is pathological, meaning it only goes as far as you are able to serve them, give them that supply, right? What is it that they call it? Narcissistic supply, which is nothing but our energy, right? Because you have to remember, these demons, you guys, they are self-serving individuals. And they like to give y'all all of these fancy medical names, such as, bipolar disorder, or sociopaths, or psychopaths, or antisocial behavior, or, borderline personality disorder. They give y'all all of these names, all of these diagnoses. But in reality, these people have a spiritual disorder, and it's because they weren't wired or sown by the Most High. They were created and sown by Satan. And it's ways to distinguish them, to distinguish who they are. And like I said, they produce different fruit than us. That's one of the main things. They produce different fruit. A tree is known by its fruits, right? So, on the outside, they appear to look like us, just like the Most High said that they would. They look like us. But when they grow and mature, inwardly, they are fleshly and corrupt, right? Right. And in this video, this tare is going to reveal this draconian mindset and alignment that these imposters have. So I want you guys to pay very close attention to what it is he is saying and telling you, because he's actually dropping jewels. He's actually letting you know the truth on how majority of these beings that we interact with on a daily basis, family included, friends included, this is how they are wired, and you never had a clue.
Negative things? It depends, because if it's something where I guess you could say I'm trying to be genuine, because I'm not always manipulating and lying to people with the intent of deceiving them. Sometimes I'll do it to make them comfortable. Mm-hmm. So if I'm putting in all this effort to be something to make you more comfortable, and it's not received, that can have an effect on me. You smiled a few times in this interview. Yeah. Is that something you tell yourself to do to make me feel more comfortable? Yeah, I smile a lot. Especially if I'm in regular conversation, you were to see me on the street. Yeah, I'll be smiling a lot. It disarms people. It makes them more comfortable. Do you have the capability of feeling empathy for others? Not in the same way that an average person would. So say, for example, if someone came up to you and they told you, my grandma just died last night. You may feel intrinsically sad when they tell you that. You may feel sensations almost as if your own grandmother passed away. For me, it's not like that. I won't say that I don't care. That's harsh. But it doesn't make me sad to hear that at all. So instead, what I'll have to do is I'll have to logically understand that, okay, this is an event that people typically get sad at. So I would have to find words of confidence to give them. I'm sorry that happened to you. I know that must be hard. Is there anything I can do? Would you like to talk? Things like that. My grandfather passed when I was about, I was 5 or 6. I remember sitting on my father's lap and he was crying. And I remember wiping the tears off his face and telling him it was going to be okay. You know, I understood that my grandfather was gone and he wasn't going to be coming back. But at the same time, I didn't understand why all the tears. I would say I ended up becoming very perceptive to people. It's not like a thing where sometimes people, like, I don't know if you can do it, but people can walk into a room and kind of feel the mood without even really interacting or looking at anybody in the room. I can't necessarily do that, so I'll have to walk in. I'll have to look at people, observe, any body language, and then from there, I would go off of that. So just all of that, basically, that is just simulated emotions that I've been using.
When was the last time you felt happy?
I don't know. Truly, I don't know.
When was the last time you pretended like you felt happy?
Oh, all the time. Yeah, all the time. Because, it makes people uncomfortable. If they're around someone, like, how do you not, experience joy?
Would it be correct to call you a sociopath?
I mean, if you're thinking in terms of scientific terms, sociopathy, they kind of discarded that term a while ago. But in terms of what most people understand it to be, I would say yes. Layman's terms, yes.
Do you have the desire to have a close relationship and maybe even get married in the future?
I'm not sure yet. That's something that I debate with myself, and I'm not 100% sure if I want to get married and have children. The notion of it seems reasonably nice to me, I would say, but I don't know if it would be 100% possible. Because when you speak about romantically, it's difficult to get people to understand that people start to feel inconsequential when I tell them it's not necessarily, it's not really you. Like if I like a person, me liking a person is based off of traits that I notice within them that I feel like would be basically beneficial for me going down the road, and I would like to explore those traits further. So it's hard to kind of explain to someone that is in an emotional sense, in a romantic sense, I'm not super connected. For me, it's a sense of duty and commitment. So I'm gonna do things for you because you are who you are to me. But people, they in relationships, they want more. They want a little bit more from you. So it gets to the point where I'll basically put that mask on to make them happy. But I can't hold it up forever. So they find out that there are some, inconsistencies there in terms of the emotions. And when you're trying to get someone to see past the emotional aspect and just look at it in the sense of, how I look at it, I'm committed to you. They don't really, it's hard to kind of explain that. People start to feel like, they're inconsequential. It's not really me that matters. If I want to connect to someone, like in a relationship, for example, if I meet someone that I have an interest in romantically, like I don't like you the same way, like, how people like each other. I don't feel any emotional attachment to that. So in order to make someone comfortable and lack of emotional attachment, I have to wear a mask. Like I have to remind myself to tell my family members I love them. I have to remind myself to maintain in contact with my friends and things like that. So, it can be off-putting, if I'm not exaggerating a bit.
So I want to make sure I'm interpreting this correctly. Transactional. You see that they have personality traits that will benefit you, but then you also want to do things for them to keep those personality traits around because in the long run that's more beneficial than not having that person around.
Exactly.
It's almost like a math equation.
Yeah, I would say I would agree with that. It kind of is like a math equation. So I would say there's definitely, like anybody else, some people I like a little bit more than others, of course. So some people I would try a little bit harder, but yeah, that's kind of what it is. It is a transactional thing for me. People, they'll be very wary of you So anybody that I tell, they're very wary of me.
Is that warranted?
Is it warranted? I would say yes. I would say yes, because you do have to be relatively careful when you're dealing with someone who truly has an antisocial personality disorder. It's not necessarily a thing where there's gonna be physical violence, or you're gonna be hurt or anything like that. But if that person doesn't have insight as to how their actions actually affect other people, I would say the likelihood for you being manipulated, even if it's in a small way, is gonna be very high, because most people with sociopathic tendencies, they're not gonna always formulate super grand schemes to take advantage of people. Sometimes it would just be, I'm looking to get lunch today, so let me manipulate this person over here so I can get $10 and go get lunch.
The fact that you're talking so openly about all of this, that means that you're not really concerned with wearing a mask anymore.
No. So it's just, I've come to a point where it's just, I have to accept it, that this is who I am. And trying to do too much to change that is where I start seeing negative things come into play.
Do you want to feel like a regular person?
I would say I wanted to at one point, but I've kind of let go of that more so recently, and it has been helping, because I find that the more I try to fit in, the easier it becomes for me to do negative things, manipulate, lie, and become angry, ridiculously angry.
What is your motivation not to do that stuff?
I just feel like it's too much chaos that I'm putting out there in the world, and that's really it. I just feel like it's too much chaos, and that's just not a good thing.
Is that something you realized independently, or did therapy help?
I would say therapy definitely helped me realize that, because speaking with my therapist for the 2 years, she helped me realize that a lot of the things I was doing was basically it was all kind of self-serving, and at a certain point, you do have to gain a level of insight, and realize that, you're making your own life harder.
What would you say to the people you've hurt in the past?
I wouldn't even say that I hope you can forgive me. I would say it's more so I hope you can forgive yourself. There's not anything wrong with you. You are still perfectly fine as a person. And I would say basically, I won't say don't take it so personally, but don't look at it like, there's something wrong with you. It was something that was wrong with me, basically.
Is it still wrong with you?
I struggle with it. That's why, I limit myself in certain situations.
Do you view yourself as better than other people?
Yeah, definitely. But I do my best to kind of combat that. Because that comes from, outsmarting people. You get this sense of, inflated sense of self, almost narcissistic, I would say.
Do you believe you're better than me?
I would say based off of my belief system, no. Simply because of the work that you do. Again, not really an emotional thing. It's just the work that you do. People benefit from it. So,
what is your belief system?
Certain things are right and certain things are wrong. And that's it.
Is that something you taught yourself, or is that learned through therapy?
It was a combination. Because, my therapist would help me. She would help me navigate through the confusion. Like, I would come to her with certain problems. Like, I said this to that person and they reacted to me like this. Why? Why did that happen? I don't understand. I thought that I was emulating the best I could. So it would be things like that. And she would teach me the difference between just emulating and exaggerating versus trying to more so genuinely connect with people, and that's where the whole understanding, like we mentioned earlier, someone tells you that their grandmother passed, you have to realize and you have to recognize that that can be a horrible event for people.
Do you have any fear that once you share your diagnoses